All right, welcome everybody to Freedom, Strength, Health for Libertas Story. Welcome, Freedom and Purpose podcast. My name is Derek Briggs, the sponsor and host of this podcast today. Briggs Strategy. I also help small to mid-sized businesses grow and develop their companies to hit their ROI. So today I'm honored to sit down with Dr. Ian Navarro and or Mr. Navarro, whichever you would like to use. He said I could use either one, so I would throw that out there. Founder of Libertas Services, PLLC, mental health life coach practice rooted in combining evidence-based therapy with timeless wisdom and discipline. Thanks, Ivan, for being here today. If you'd like to go ahead and tell me a little bit about your story and your company.
Certainly. Thank you, Derek, for having me. Glad to be here. So a little bit about myself is I'm originally from South America, but moved to Houston, Texas, when I was a teenager. I began high school here in Texas, and I pretty much never left. I mean, I did go and did studies abroad and in New England, but Houston always stayed my home base. And yes, I have been honored to have been a therapist for 10 years now. I am happy to have had this job for this long because I really feel that this is what I do best. This is what I can offer to society that is like my best talent. And so, yeah, I have been doing that for this long. Also, well, at one point I decided to start my own private practice because I saw that it was the best way to offer my services to other people. And you know what? After so many years of helping people with their mental health issues, I realized that one of the things that I was doing is I was setting them free from mental illness, setting them free from undesired symptoms, from problems, and therefore it made sense to me to name the company with a word that relates to freedom, Libertas, and therefore, yeah, that's more or less the philosophy of the company is setting people free from their issues and their challenges, and being free to helping them to be free so they can thrive. Yeah, so in a nutshell, that's who I am and what my company is about.
What were some of the challenges you faced in funding the practice, and how did you come overcome those issues?
Yeah, yeah, challenges are always there, and I still have one or two lingering around that I'm still working on overcoming. But thankfully, most of them I have been able to resolve and to get over, and that's why thankfully today Libertas is up and running. So let me share some of the first ones that I encountered that I am no longer struggling with or
Okay.
dealing with. Yeah, one of the first ones was the fear, personally a fear of working by myself, of doing work just for me, or rather like working independently is what I'm trying to say. I had never done that before.
Hmm.
However, like I said earlier, I did feel a pull to move in that direction because it became more and more clear to me that that was the best way to help a population in this part of Texas, and a population actually in the whole state of Texas where I'm licensed to online therapy that uh, needed my particular services.
Hmm.
And I'll say later who that population is. But anyways, that was the first challenge. It was getting over my own fear, my own uh,
Okay.
anxiety and worry that like everything else, doing something I've never done before.
Correct.
And I did do something that I think helped a lot with that fear, which was just being careful and prudent in moving forward. So I gradually moved forward with that idea. I didn't let go of my full time job until I realized that it was safe enough to do so. And then that was what I did. Yeah, another challenge is getting your name out there.
Hmm.
It's being the new guy on the block, and this is a very delicate service that we offer. It's very personal.
Hmm.
So that was it was people had never heard of Libertas, and I mean they had heard of probably me, a few people here and there, but not the company's name. And that was also a challenge, just marketing myself, getting my name out there, and giving people the opportunity to get to know me. That's probably something I'm still working on, but it's not so much of a challenge anymore. And I guess there were like a few more, but I will highlight another one that really stands out to me, which is it's like taking care of a, I don't know, man, like a puppy or a newborn baby.
Hmm.
It's a challenge of dealing with the company. They practice having its own life, like its own will sometimes,
Hmm.
and you're trying to like raise it, you're trying to grow it, like I said, like a plant, like a pet, like a kid. You're trying to make sure it stays alive, stays healthy, but it does its own thing at the same time. So trying to understand those dynamics. So for example, trying to see what is the best caseload to have as a sole practitioner right now, hoping one day to add more employees and practitioners. Also, just understanding what is best for the company, what is best for people, creating a balance between those two. That's
Okay.
definitely been another challenge. And yeah, I mean, the company has moved in a direction to some extent that I didn't think it would go, but it's a good one. I'm happy with it. And to some extent, I have been in control of a few things. So yeah, it's kind of like you're dealing with a living thing, right? That
Yep.
wants to do its own
Sure.
thing, and you negotiate in the end with it, and kind of like compromise with it in the end. And I'm learning that as time and more time goes by. So those are some of the few, yeah, challenges
Okay.
there.
So if you had to go back 1 year and give yourself one piece of advice that would help you advance, what would it be?
Absolutely, one would be more less fear in marketing
Hmm.
myself better. I
Okay.
think that I was a little too reserved in doing that. I moved at the same pace as the pace in which I went independent. Like I did that carefully, slowly, becoming
Hmm.
independent. Like I said, I didn't let go of my full-time job until I realized it was safe to do so. I kind of did the same thing with marketing myself. I did that very slowly. For some reason, I felt like I needed to be extra safe with it. And I understand, like, you do pay like a financial price for marketing, but if I could give one advice to myself would be don't. It is always a great investment to market yourself and to go out there and do it more. I would have done it faster than what I did, so that
Okay.
that would have been it. Yeah,
I mean, that's the perfect way to do it. I mean, you have to look back and see what could you done better, and then also look forward and
yeah,
say, what else can I do? So, and where the
oh
market's
yeah,
going. So definitely, I hear you what you're saying perfectly.
yeah.
So,
Thanks.
what models or structure services are you seeing a success in with individual therapy, coaching, hybrid groups, or digital?
I think it cut off. Could you repeat the last part, or like pretty much the whole question, because I didn't get the last
Sure.
part.
What models or service structure are you seeing most success with, either in individual therapy, coaching, hybrid, group, or digital?
Okay. Most successful ones, right? You know what?
Yeah.
Interestingly, in-person therapy is becoming more and more successful as we're moving further and further away from the COVID days. I think a lot of people came to appreciate telehealth a lot
Mhm.
because of COVID. And 2022, 2023, the years right after COVID, a lot of people continue to do that. But I saw a shift last year into this year in which more than half of the people that I serve are requesting in-person services. And it's interesting, especially in a big city like Houston, where I was thinking that a lot of people didn't want to commute, didn't want to drive to an office. That seems to be going away. I mean, people don't seem to mind. They want to do that. They want to get out of the house. They want to
Hmm.
have a more personal, more in-person touch with you if they can. So there is definitely right now a big push for in-person therapy. I would say for all modalities, for couples, individual, family, and group therapy.
Okay.
It seems like more and more people are wanting to go back to in person, and I think it has to do with like mental health. It's kind of reminding me the way things were before 2020, before they started doing social distancing. That was what it was, and it's funny how that's like a cycle, depending
Yeah.
on what's out there. So that one definitely. Another one though, another modality. One thing that I'm noticing as a trend is in individual therapy. There is a big trend for letting the client have freedom, to choose the length of the appointments, but also the frequency of the appointments. There seems to be. I mean, it's interesting. I've always told people that when it comes to psychotherapy, at least the way I do it, there is a difference between the way I do psychotherapy. I'm sure especially client centered therapists do this. I'm
Hmm.
sure the difference between psychotherapy and going to the dentist is that you don't really like as a dentist patient, as a dental patient, you don't have a lot of say in how your services proceed. I mean, you could get like a second opinion and all that, but once you're with a dentist, the dentist tells you how he operates, what he'll do, everything. He's in command of everything. You hardly say anything, and he tells you how soon you need to come back. In the end, obviously, you're free to go back or not at that. But here, I believe there is again, borrowing that word negotiation. There is more of a more space, more freedom for negotiation, and a lot of people use that. Most of my clients use that. They decide when, based on their finances and their needs, how often they want to come back. Obviously, I give my input. I tell them my professional opinion, but there is in individual therapy also this push for the client being more independent, more taking more charge. And but personally, I'm not a client centered therapist. I mean, I do obviously have unconditional regard for positive regard for my clients, and I do have a big belief that in big part they know what is best for them, and we need to help bring it up. But my modality is cognitive behavioral therapy. People seem to love it a lot, and nonetheless, a lot of clients end up negotiating with me about how they want to move forward, and what we end up deciding is what they think is, what we both agree is best for them in the end, but not necessarily what I fully recommend. Yeah, and then finally, I want to say something about couples therapy.
Okay.
Um, there Well, one more thing that is both true both of both individual therapy and couples therapy. Going back to the modalities, there is also, I would say, a big amount of clients who can do in person and online. There are some that move back and forth between in person and online modalities, and that's completely fine. I don't wanna. I don't think there's anything wrong with online therapy. Like I said earlier, I offer fully online to people that are outside of the Houston area, but still, for some reason, want to speak to someone like me. And so I do have a few, but interestingly, both in couples therapy and individual therapy, I see interestingly a back and forth between in person and online. So I do want to say that people do feel comfortable enough sometimes to also tell me, hey, next appointment, I don't want to drive, I want to see you online, or hey, I would like to finally see you in person. We've been seeing each other online, like I'd like to come over. So that's
Okay.
that, yeah. But now I get to like that last thing I was gonna say about couples therapy that I think is also very salient and worth mentioning. A lot of people like the services that I provide, the way I provide them, they are they are seeing more and more the importance dealing in the therapy room in with a therapist with like very day-to-day couples issues. Like what I'm trying to say is the way I believe I offer my services are attracting a lot of couples that are requesting services sometimes for reasons that I was not seeing before. Like the common, and but before I probably mean also like as a good point of reference, before the COVID social distancing, before that pandemic. Um, so now after COVID, I am seeing more and more uh, couples coming to couples therapy for problems other than cheating and trust issues. That was like almost 90% of the reasons why I was seeing couples
Okay.
before.
All
Yeah,
right.
and I think what it is also I did get into something called emotionally focused therapy (EFT), and I am seeing, for example, couples that are doing okay, that are not having major issues, but they want to do better. Couples that want to prevent issues from happening. And I think it's like the word. I mean, a lot of our marketing as therapists happens also because of word of mouth,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that I am seeing couples refer me to other couples, and I think it's
Okay.
really EFT, and also another big explosion right now in our field. It's uh, I mean it's been around for years, but I think right now it's something that people clients are appreciating more. Which EFT uses it's the theory attachment theory. A lot of people are getting into attachment, are very interested in attachment theory, and that's something that emotionally focused therapy offers. So a lot of people again are seeking couples therapy for other reasons that were not common before. Again, even preventive reasons, and therefore I think that the word is spreading that it helps to just even if you think things are okay to get a boost in your relationship by going to couples therapy and allowing the therapist to help you through EFT or a focus on attachment theory. What is your attachment style? Because the latest research is showing that our attachment styles that we develop as children are having an impact on how we relate to others as adults, and more people are realizing that, and so more and more people are picking up on that. So those are some of the things that I think are worth mentioning, as the services and
Good.
that I am using.
I mean, and it's funny that I was speaking to a professional coach for executives, and he was talking just about what you just said, the
Oh,
attachment
interesting.
theory of how, their guidance as a kid coming up, and what
Yeah,
they learned from their family and friends and parents as they got older and older were holding them back in certain areas. And so it was very interesting now for you to talk about it, makes it even, pulls kind of things together a little bit more, to understand that. And I think, that's the exciting part about psychology and everything that, they use it in so many
yeah,
different directions and ways that, that's a great, way to
yeah.
look at
It
it
is.
now, what you're saying. And then for me to hear, because I couldn't really, I understood what he was talking about, but I didn't really put it together as you just explained it to me. So now I kind of it bridged the gap of, okay, now I really truly understand what he was talking about, and that it is a very positive thing to help, people in those positions be more successful.
I'm glad to
So,
hear that other people are talking about it. To other professionals are using it. Yeah, that's great.
so how do you see technology, AI, teletherapy platforms, apps impacting what you do?
Oh man, that's a big question. Yes, I see it in a lot of ways. AI and apps and technology in general are definitely having an impact on psychotherapy and coaching as well. I would say the work that we do. Definitely, we have to say that this decade, the 2020s, is a decade in which this field, I believe, like a lot of other fields, is most impacted by technology. I mean, the latest things that is happening, and I'll probably start with the probably one of the most, yeah, the latest ones, the latest. trends that I've seen online, or most recent one is our field, like others, is also being impacted by AI to the point where some people claim that AI can replace psychotherapists to some extent. Probably not as much as a few fields where like companies are already like literally starting to let go of their employees so that the AI does the job for them. But it's being talked about, and I think in the end, what's going to happen is going to be a question of preference. People are going to be free to choose if they want to get therapy from a human being or from AI, and that's going to be each person is going to free is going to be free to choose. So I mean, that is, I would say, one of the biggest impacts right now. It's the fact that a machine and an algorithm can is so advanced that it can provide therapy because it replicates the ability of listening, of paying attention to what a person is saying,
Hmm.
and replicates the ability to say something back. Now there is gonna be pros and cons uh, to using AI as a therapist. Just like there are pros and cons to using a human. I'm probably being a little biased, but I side with the belief that there are less negative aspects about seeing a human than there are about seeing AI for therapy, uh,
Right.
right? But
Hmm.
there are pros and cons and some benefits. I believe. I mean, so it's convenience. There's a lot of convenience with using AI as your therapist. For example, you can get some form of therapy through AI at 3 a.m. in the morning or 4 a.m. when you're awake and doing nothing. Yeah,
It's
nothing
true.
else. Yeah. So there is that. There is a convenience of like it has on telehealth. You never have to drive to someone's office. And for people who are shy, for people who have a really bad form of social anxiety and feel really intimidated by speaking to another human, that could be one population that could benefit. To some extent, at one point, as a therapist, I would recommend to those people that they do try seeking services from a human, so that they do some exposure therapy, some confrontation of their fears of
Yep.
dealing with humans, or their anxiety of dealing with humans. So that's AI. I mean, AI is helping therapists. Uh, it's helping us summarize some of our sessions. Some providers, some EHRs that have the telehealth component to it
Right.
are sending out, to clients a consent form to allow the video call to be picked up by AI, so that after the end of the call, AI makes suggestions to the notes that we make based. So it's not quite recording a session. It's more like technology out there um, picking up keywords, key comments, and it has to be done with the consent of a client. So in that
Right.
is it is helping us therapists to make notes that are accurate but faster. So it is helping us document our sessions faster and in a way that doesn't just because we do it faster doesn't mean that the quality of the report is less. It keeps the quality high. Yeah, and so also with AI, obviously, uh, I see AI right now as a really advanced search engine.
Hmm.
So when we want to do continuous education as therapists and refresh ourselves on modalities on approaches to therapy that they taught us in school, but we need to relearn, we need to review. Therapy is I mean, AI is a great source of. It's like a tutor, that can
Hmm.
refresh our
Yep.
minds and help us. So that's an advantage. It can be used for as a support, as an assistant, someone that reminds you things you need to do, how you need to do your job. Sometimes, again, as a tutor. In so many ways, it is definitely AI is becoming part of this. Also, I have to say I did have one interesting experience where uh, a client that I had once uh, was very much absorbed by, or I wouldn't use that word, but he was very interested, is the word, in AI. Us at the same time, he was dealing with an anxiety issue with the, symptoms of anxiety. So we both agreed that it wouldn't hurt for him to get advice from me as his personal therapist, but also see what AI ChatGPT had to offer him,
Okay.
and then bring to me what AI told him about his condition, and then also he allowed me. We agreed that he would allow me to comment on what was his takeaway from checking with AI about what to do about his symptoms. So I would have to say that it's kind of like if that particular case right there felt like I was consulting with AI, I was working with AI,
Hmm.
and it was an interesting experience. But other forms of technology, real quick, like apps and yeah, it is making counseling more accessible. It is making therapy more accessible to people, especially to Generation Z, who are so used to using apps and websites and use video calls, and so now it's super common for clients. Speaking of clients wanting to be more independent, to book their own appointments when they want without never having to talk to
Cool.
a
Yep.
receptionist, to communicate with us, very fast as therapists. Something that I offer and people love, but people don't use much. I wish they use it more. Is in between sessions, I ask them to use secure messaging to update me how they're doing, to ask me questions in between sessions. And only a few people do that, but that's something that I don't think was as accessible before. And the fact that they can just pull out their phone and tell me at 3 a.m. on a Friday or any day, any given day, Ivan, I'm feeling this and that, and I have these questions right now, and I don't want to forget them. I can't go to sleep. Uh, that's something that I think is more doable today. I mean, in the past, you had to have be more careful because through email is not a safe way to communicate. But now that with secure HIPAA compliant ways of messaging the therapist, that becomes really really easy to do. So yeah, technology is definitely more than anything benefiting um,
It sounds like it.
therapists than it is harming us. Yeah, so I'm happy about it. Hmm.
I mean, having to be able to speak to your doctor any time, day or night, is not a bad thing anymore.
Oh
Because so
yeah,
long ago, so long ago, you would
yeah,
never hear from them until the next session or anything like that. So, being able to know that somebody like you has that some in place to be able to assist them when you're available again, and gives them, like you said, a state of mind where, I can tell them and I can go to sleep and
yeah,
I know that he's going to get the message and they're going to feel more comfortable with you. They're going to be more open
right,
with you. All those things are very positive that I can
yeah.
see with your business and everything like that.
And if I
So
could add real quick, real
sure,
quick, um,
this is your time.
thank you. Like something that's not happening yet. I'm sure somebody already somewhere is doing it, but I would like to do it at one point. Is I would like, well, that just reminded me that I am already doing something, which is training AI. You can train AI to do things that you want it to do,
Yep.
right?
Yes, you can.
So I am in the process of training AI to help me market my practice. So for
Okay.
anybody out there that's not doing that yet, look into it. It's worth it. It looks promising. So that everyone, it's sort of you and AI posting on social media to promote your practice, particularly with the philosophy, the beliefs that you have. But what I haven't started doing, and I hope one day to be able to do, is train AI so that there is a HIPAA compliant robo assistant, AI assistant that is trained to answer questions and is trained to provide feedback that is as supportive as possible to clients who are having non-emergency situations. Again, at a time when I'm either already seeing other clients, my assistant is busy, my actual human assistant, because I do have one, or it's like we're all asleep and our client is awake. So you do have that already for like so many other fields, other companies, where like AI tries to answer your question before sending you to a human. That would be cool to train them. Obviously, with you will have to be really careful about making it super clear to your clients that that's only for non-emergency situations. Emergency situations do need to go to 911 or
Okay.
988, which I believe still is the hotline for suicide prevention, right? I'm actually
Yep.
yeah. Thankfully I haven't had to use it. Yeah, there it is.
Good.
I use review and it still is. I haven't had to use it in over a year. I do have it on my forms, um, and I'm glad to see that there are those hotlines out there for people to use.
hmm Yep.
Mm.
Well, Ivan, before we wrap it up, I want to ask you a quick question. One misconception people have about therapy, coaching, that you'd may make them drop. You'd wish they drop.
Sure, sure. The one of the biggest misconceptions would be that you can benefit without it, that you can be better without it, that you don't need
Yeah.
it pretty much. I guess I was trying to think of something more complicated to say, but it's simple really.
No.
It's a misconception that you don't need therapy. That's
Mhm.
definitely harming a big part of our society today. That it's still seen as the misconception that therapy is still seen as something that should only be done when you're going through a really really bad situation, or when it gets clinical, it gets to a point uh, where you're dealing with unbearable mental health symptoms.
Right.
So and therefore, like, I don't have any. People would think I don't have a bad situation. I don't have a critical situation. I don't need therapy. There is no way I would benefit from therapy. Therapy is not for me. So that would be the first one, and I want to say to everybody out there that uh, even if your life is going really well right now, therapy and coaching can make it even better than it is. All right. So give it a try, especially if you haven't tried it before. I really think, in a way, I compare therapy a lot to a gym trainer, but even better than that.
Okay.
Where, like, yeah, you can work out and get fit without a trainer, but you get even more fit. The benefits do come from allowing an expert to help you in the way you train. Well, therapy is even better than that analogy, in the sense that, again, a trainer could probably do very little for someone who's like super swole, super fit. They do obviously help a lot, but therapy, I believe, helps more people whose life are like, the equivalent of a perfectly healthy body. Uh, so if we can help people whose life are going super well, are going really well, and in fact, what we do for them is we make sure their lives continue to go that way, and actually get better, because there's, believe it or not, no matter how perfect your life is, there's always room for growth. So
Yes.
if that's what therapy can do for people whose life are going well, imagine for anybody else whose life is not yet where it's supposed to be, whose problems, even though they're little, are still problems, who has questions, who, yeah, therapy can benefit everybody. It's something that I hope people don't find this radical, but it's something that I think uh, everybody should try at least once in their lives. Like, literally every single person should try at least once in their lives. And then, real quick, another fast misconception is for others for people who actually do try therapy and enter therapy, or like have tried it before, is the misconception that we are supposed to make symptoms disappear like with a magic wand. First and foremost, immediately, that's a
Mhm.
big misconception. Don't come to therapy
Mhm.
with that mentality. What we do is we help you get stronger first and foremost, so that psychologically, mentally, emotionally stronger, so that you learn to live with your symptoms, with your conditions, with your struggles, right? And so it's not about making it disappear and making it go away like at first. It can happen eventually. It can happen eventually, but that's not the first thing that happens. And so I hope that most of my clients don't get. And it seems like not, because I have a pretty high return rate, thankfully.
Good.
Yeah, I hope people out there don't continue to think of therapy as something that, and that would be like a big difference sometimes between physical therapy and psychotherapy, because I do believe that in physical therapy there are many cases in which they make your physical pain, your physical problem disappear. I mean, there are even in physical therapy situations where like it's about helping you learn to live with your new injury. Psychotherapy is definitely more like that. Is we at first strengthen you, give you the power, the ability that you already have inside, but we take it out, bring it out more for you to be able to live with anxiety, be able to live with therapy. Sorry, with depression is what I'm about to say, through therapy or whatever symptoms or condition you have. We empower you to be as functional as you can be, to be a better version of yourself, even though you still have the symptoms. And precisely that's what eventually at one point begins to reduce the symptoms, sometimes to the point of making them completely go away. But where you first have to start, where therapy first help you, is to learn to live with them. Yeah. So that's what it is. If anybody out there has a misconception that therapists judge, come to me. I'll recommend. But good therapists don't judge. So if you feel judged by someone like a therapist, that's another thing that would be a misconception. We are judgment free zone. We're here to help you, and we're here to. Same thing with coaches. We're here to work with you. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in this field in the first place. So, no, judgment free zone is another thing that I would add to this question. Great
Awesome.
questions, by the way, Derek. I appreciate
Good.
all these questions. I love this field, and I love talking about everything you've
Yeah,
asked so
well,
far.
you gave a lot of great information. I think you made people feel comfortable, and the different therapies that you have available, I think, are going to benefit whoever is around you or going to be using your services. So, it's a great opportunity to speak to you, and thank you for taking your time out of your day for me and take this call and give me all this in-depth information and that we're going to share with people out there to get you more people. And you can go to www.libertaspllc.com and you can get all the information. It's a great website. It has a lot of details for you. It will be very helpful for you to read first and then contact them, and you'll be get a great amount of information and be prepared to definitely sign up with Ivan and his team for sure. All right.
Thank you.